Put a finger down if the guy that cheated on you ended up getting the other girl pregnant. God, I hope this is not something that we can relate on. Well, to provide a little bit of backstory, I met this guy that we'll call Logan at a bar. And while that should have maybe been a red flag, homegirl really thought she met her Prince Charming. He swept me off my feet, we exchanged numbers, and eventually decided to give us a chance. And let me tell you, the first year was a fairy tale. For months, we talked about having a baby. And eventually, I ended up getting a positive pregnancy test back. So I was scared, but excited to give this to him. And when I handed it to him, honey, he just went silent. I asked him how he felt, and his response was, like I need to pee. Later on, I begged this man to propose to me because we're having a baby together, and he proposed to me with the cheapest turn your finger green ring. And I know these are fat red flags, but at the time, I just saw them as pink because I was giving birth to our son. Well, the second it was time to give birth to him, my fiance wasn't involved at all, to the point where the nurses were asking if the dad was in the picture. I was straight up alone. But now pay attention. One female friend that went on double dates with us often, named Tori, came up with my husband to check on me. So a little backstory on this girl, Tori. I knew her because we had gone on double dates with her and her husband before. I had been to her house multiple times. She was also pregnant, and I was super excited for her. Logan always encouraged a relationship between us. Because we could both relate on being pregnant, we talked almost every single day until the end of my pregnancy. Logan and Tori talked every day, multiple times a day. But again, I just saw this as a pink flag. He would go visit her during lunch breaks all the time, but because she was married, I really didn't think it was a big deal. And I trusted Logan, right? So anyways, he ended up bringing her to the room, where she held my brand new baby in her arms and met my parents. I was also touching her baby bump and was super excited for her. Well, when it was time for her to leave, Logan walked her out. And they were gone for about an hour. But still, I didn't think anything of it. However, a few months later, I ended up getting a Facebook friend request from Tori's husband. However, I don't really check my Facebook very often, so it took me weeks to realize that he had requested me and sent me a message. And it said, let me know if you want to know how badly your fiance is cheating on you with my wife. So after Tori's husband sent me this message, I still couldn't believe it. I thought it was just a joke until I looked at Logan and said, hey, Tori's husband texted me. As soon as I said that, his face dropped and he stopped talking, which solidified my fear, and my husband admitted to everything. I dropped my phone and just cried. Like, how many times had he left to go help her while I stayed at home pregnant? The amount of times he went to go visit her at lunch? And he even admitted that the baby that Tori was pregnant with was his. I ended up finding out that their relationship had been going on for 3 years, which was before she was even married to her husband and before Logan and I got together. And when we broke up, he ended up proposing to Tori with a much nicer ring. But ultimately, when she had the baby, he just abandoned that baby too. And to this day, he has not seen that baby and still refuses to see my son. I even tried to suggest a healthy co-parenting relationship between the four of us, and he couldn't even seem to do that. Tori and her husband ended up getting back together, and she's tried to reach out multiple times to apologize, but it just really doesn't make up for what she did. Okay, so can we please talk about how McDonald's is responsible for one of the biggest conspiracies? Yes, McDonald's. It became a massive FBI investigation and involved one of the biggest Italian mob families in New York. Well, around 1987, there was a little bit of a decline in the fast food industry, and McDonald's was really feeling it, so they were like, oh my gosh, how can we improve our sales? And this is when they decided to partner with Simon Marketing. And they had some amazing business ideas. They helped them come up with the Happy Meal, and they helped them come out with the Monopoly game. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I used to play it a lot as a kid. You would get this little sticker that you could peel off on the back of drinks boxes. It would offer you a free Big Mac, a drink upgrade, but some of them offered way bigger prizes, like jet skis, cars, all the way up to $1 million. Yeah, I never found one of those. But you could always bring it back and add it to your Monopoly board. And anyone could participate even if you didn't buy anything from them. Like, you could just go in and ask for a chip, or else it would have been considered gambling. McDonald's sales jumped 40%, so they were making bank. But it didn't take long for someone to tip off the FBI. So the thing about their Monopoly game is that it was a 1 in 250 million chance of winning. That is less than the lottery. But one day, the FBI was tipped off that the past 3 winners were from the same family. Like, that's actually impossible. And the name that was dropped for who was controlling all of this was Uncle Jerry. Obviously, this is a massive accusation to make. So the FBI was like, okay, let's look into this. And what do you know? All of the recent winners were from the Jacksonville area. So they were like, okay, is it someone at Mickey D's? Makes the boxes, delivers it. Either way, they had to call an immediate meeting with the McDonald's company. They didn't tell them why. They were just like, hey, you guys need to come down here. I would have been scared out of my mind if the FBI didn't tell me why they needed me. But the second the employees got there and sat down, they presented them with the case. And they were shocked. They were like, that is absolutely not possible. So rare to win this game, they should not be coming from the same area. And it was causing a major freak out. But luckily, the timing was perfect because they were about to release their next Monopoly game. And this way, they could catch someone in the act. So what exactly is a conspiracy? It's a secret plan made by a group to do something harmful or unlawful. And it didn't take long for this next Monopoly game to have a new winner. His name was Michael Hoover. The FBI decided to make a fake production company to act like they were doing a big commercial for him winning when they were actually secretly interrogating him. So they were asking him questions. He went into detail on how he found the chip, how he was gonna buy a boat and name it Ruthless Scandal. And then the FBI, being one step ahead, had already tapped him. So when he left, they heard his phone call, in which he basically laughed and said that he pulled it off, that they actually think he's gonna buy a boat called Ruthless Scandal. But they hear the name Uncle Jerry talked about again. So they had to do a deeper dive into who was working for them. And well, the company they partnered with, Simon Marketing, there was a guy who was head of security named Jerome Jacobson. He oversaw the whole process. Not only did he head all of security, but he also designed it as well. On top of this, he was responsible for taking the chip to the McDonald's location. But if the process was so thorough, how was he pulling it off? But what exactly made them suspicious of Jerome Jacobson? Well, the people that were getting the chips were all around where he lived. Like his nephew, his butcher, which, like, how can you be that stupid? You need to actually be spreading these out. But essentially what he was doing when he was on his way to those McDonald's locations was stopping at the airport bathroom, breaking the seal, taking the piece out and resealing it and leaving the bathroom. So he walked out with the prized piece and he was selling them off. For example, he sold one worth $200,000 or $45,000 to his nephew. Obviously, he realized it was looking a little sketchy, so he decided to get someone else involved, named Jerry Colombo. I know it's a little confusing because they're both Jerry. He belonged in one of the 5 crime families that dominated New York. He wanted to promise his daughter a chip. And if you didn't know this, that's why Jerome Jacobson was being called Uncle Jerry. I guess uncle is a term of respect in the mafia. And together they all teamed up to pick other winners, like Gloria Brown, who paid $40 grand for a $1 million chip. And even Jerry Colombo himself got a Dodge Viper. With all this info, the FBI was about to make their arrest. The last place that Jerry sent it to before he was caught was St. Jude's Children's Hospital. I guess he decided to do something positive with his chips, but they did use that to track him down. And yes, McDonald's did let the Children's Hospital keep the $1 million chip. But Uncle Jerry was being followed by about 25 FBI agents and was officially caught. Him and 8 others were arrested, and 5 were indicted for collecting false prize. Jerome Jacobson had stolen up to 60 game pieces. He served 35 months in prison and had to pay $12.5 million in restitution. He's free though now and in his 70s. Jerry Colombo actually died in a car accident, so he was not arrested. And there's a lot of stuff around that being an inside job. It was a really sketchy car accident, and sometimes you just don't know with the mafia. Well, Simon Marketing and McDonald's sued each other back and forth, but Burger King responded by suing McDonald's for false advertising a promotion while knowing that the game was compromised. And they eventually just dropped the case. McDonald's started to give away a lot of cash prizes in response, and they officially stopped the game in 2016. Let me know what other conspiracies you want to hear about. So I am beyond fascinated by this conspiracy theory. First, I'm going to be showing you guys a series of images, and let me know in the comments how they make you feel. I was introduced to liminal spaces whenever I was first on TikTok. The sound St. Bernard by Lincoln was going viral at the time, with people putting their near-death experiences and saying that this is what they saw after they died. In all of the comment sections, people seem to be describing this place as ominous, yet nostalgic, as if we've all been here before. While the next time that I was introduced to these, it was going viral with the Daisy song, which honestly just unlocks a whole other creepy feeling. But everyone was stating that this is what their dreams look like. So why do everyone with different experiences, different lives, all feel that this is familiar? As if we're unlocking a shared stowed away memory. Well, a post that went viral on 4chan was describing these as the back rooms. What exactly is a back room? Well, in a video game, it's essentially when you no-clip out of reality, like you're passing through the limits of what you're supposed to see. So what would that mean for reality, and why are back rooms there? Part 2 to liminal spaces in the back rooms. So the next question that we're going to be answering is, why do back rooms exist? These yellow decaying walls are providing people with nostalgia for a time they've never even known. Well, basically, it's a glitch. Have you ever lost something for days and then been able to find it again? Or maybe a bird flying in place, or the Mandela effect, or photos of people who look like they're time travelers. Either way, these cases defy the laws of reality. So these examples, along with finding the back rooms, are glitches. And a glitch would suggest that we're potentially in a simulation. Psychologist Carl Jung actually described our world as an unconscious manifestation that materializes. The best example that I can think of is Coraline. Think of whenever she's with the other mother. Everything that Coraline unconsciously desired is manifested. The other mother is the creator and knows exactly what to make in order to entice her. And whenever she goes out of the bounds of what's created, things start to turn to another color. Essentially, she's glitched out of reality and in her own back room. So is our universe just a projection for us, similar to how Coraline's universe was projected as well? Part 3 to liminal spaces and back rooms, and trigger warning, we will be talking about simulation theory. So are we just living in one big giant Sims game? We have very highly developed artificial intelligence and it continues to get better every day. And we are starting to have the ability to be able to create things that have awareness. I don't know if you guys saw that snake on your For You page that thought it was alive, but that's like the example that I'm gonna give. How do we know that we are not in this as well? Honestly, we don't. We just have to believe that we are real in order to live in a simulation. Like, my Sims do not know that I'm controlling them. Even Mr. Musk has stated with the rate of any improvement at all that games will be indistinguishable from reality. So who's controlling my life? Because they need to do a better job. If you are spiritual like I am, this also doesn't disprove the theory that we have a creator. It's just more of a programmer. Either way, it's just a theory. And if you guys want to go over to my Instagram page, I'm going to be talking about the levels to the back rooms. If you click on my middle tab right here, you will see the videos. And let me know what you think of this theory and what theories you want me to talk about next.